I'm Governor Jesse Ventura, and this is the Alex Jones Show.
Why do you think Obama's approval rating has dropped to the low 40s?
Because he had to make hard decisions, and he's making them. Any elected official, when I first got elected, my approval rating was, I think, 71 or 72, the highest in Minnesota history. Well, by the time you're in office, a length of time, every time you make a decision, Alex, someone's not going to like it. You're going to have people that do like it, but you're going to have people that don't. And too many of us are one-issue people. So that when a public official makes a decision on that one issue that maybe impacts you or you feel negative about, all of a sudden now you have a negative agenda towards this elected official. So it's a natural thing that happens. Yes, when you're first elected, your approval rating is sky high. But the longer you're in office, I actually sunk below 50% at one point. I was down to 45. And the press came at me and they said, well, you've been as high as 70%, your approval rating's now under 50. Well, I looked at him and said, well, gee, if I'm at 45, I'm 7 points up because I won with 37. Remember, in a three-person race, those numbers drop drastically.
Exactly.
So no matter, even at 45%, I was still 7 points higher than what I won the election with. So how can they accuse me of failing?
Absolutely. Two final questions,
Sure.
Governor, and I'll let you get back to working on the TV show here. By the way, I'm honored to be part of it.
We're honored to have you.
I'm excited to be involved. No, it's great getting to hang out with you. But seriously, you were against the banker bailout back last year when they first launched it. Now they want a new bailout. They did a bait and switch. They kept the trillions of dollars for themselves. They're not loaning it. What's your view on that?
Well, if you want a true bailout, you have to do what I did in Minnesota. When we had a budget surplus in Minnesota, I gave the money directly to the people. If you want to truly stimulate the economy, give it to the public.
Absolutely.
Because we will spend it. And will that not stimulate the economy? Isn't that what they want? Us with money, spending our money?
But they're not. They're hoarding it.
Well, they're giving it to the banks rather than the people. And the banks are like a middleman.
And then they loan it back to us at interest.
Exactly. So if you truly want a stimulus package, in my opinion, you give the money directly to the people.
What do you think of Ron Paul and others' move to audit the private secretive Federal Reserve?
I think it's a great idea. I don't agree with Ron Paul on everything. One thing, he's pro-life, I'm pro-choice. But for the big picture, Dr. Paul and I sit together on a lot of issues. We're side by side in our thinking on them. That was one of the reasons I was a keynote speaker at the counter convention, up in Minnesota when the Republicans were over in St. Paul. Dr. Paul, Representative Paul, and people like me were over in Minneapolis in front of an entire sold-out auditorium. And here was the best part about it, Alex. When I did have to go over to the Republican thing the next morning because I had to do some national TV and they were over there. When I went over to the Republican convention, it was like walking into martial law. I mean, they had 3 barriers, barbed wire, razor wire, and all this, just to get in there. You had to go through metal detectors just to get in there. And yet, with Dr. Paul and us over at the Target Center in Minneapolis, we had nothing. We had the normal security people that are there for every Timberwolf game. Not even the Minneapolis cops.
It was the old America.
It was the old America with people having a little bit of trust in their elected officials, knowing that Dr. Paul, people like me and him, are not going to lie to you. We're going to tell you the truth, even though in some cases the truth may hurt.
Absolutely. Well, Governor, in closing, 9/11, it's now come out that 6 of the 10 commissioners are on record saying that they believe there should be a new investigation and that the Pentagon was deceptive. That's even been in the Washington Post. Many people have called for a new investigation. Do you think, A, we should have a new investigation, and B, that we'll ever see one?
I think we absolutely should have a real investigation, an investigation where you give subpoena power to where people are not allowed to testify together. And, I view the Warren Commission and the 9/11 Commission, they weren't there to seek the truth, they were there to cover up the truth, and that's what they were designed to do, in my opinion. Absolutely, I think there should be a new investigation. Will there be one? I have my doubts on that. But what will have to happen is it will have to come from the grassroots. There will have to be so much political pressure put on. Well, like right now, it goes even farther, Alex. Did you see the thing where the attorney for the 9/11 Commission.
Yes.
The lead attorney, Mr. Farmer.
He's got a book coming out saying it was all a cover-up.
Well, he came out and said that at some point the government decided the United States people were not going to hear the truth. Now, what more smoking gun do we need than that? You listening, Geraldo?
Absolutely. They say we're crazy, we're evil, we're bad. 6 of the 10 commission members, 2 of their 4 lawyers, the head lawyer is saying it's a fraud and a cover-up. 3 members are saying there should be criminal charges against the White House or the Pentagon for lying, saying that they did lie to them, but that the decision was made to deceive the American people. And that's why, Jesse, I really appreciate your courage in going public for 9/11 Truth, because if we don't expose this, they're going to continue to commit these Gulf of Tonkins, these Operation Ajax, these programs.
Absolutely, and it comes back to the very thing that people need to remember. And remember this, dissension is the greatest form of patriotism. If you don't hold your elected officials' feet to the fire, for lack of a better term, you are going to get bad government. Remember that. You don't want to go along to get along.
Governor, great seeing you.
Absolutely, as always, Alex. Great to talk to you.
Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As they're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
Now is the time for all good men and women to come to the aid of their country.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
One of the greatest events in history is taking place before our very eyes.
Don't sit down. I have a question for this young man. He has the right to be represented.
It's up to every man, woman, and child in the United States to decide whether we're going to be fooled by the slick propaganda of the social engineers or whether we're going to restore the republic.
We have seen this erosion to the point where today it seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the republic.
Who's going to soak up the derivatives? Who's going to soak up the debt? Who's going to be penalized?
Enron's CEO, Ken Lay, was involved in discussions with you at the White House about helping develop this type of policy, this trading scheme.
I don't know. Do you think it's consistent with the spirit of that provision of the Constitution to hand out $500 billion to foreigners?
Will we choose liberty or will we choose tyranny?
The republic is hanging by a thread.
You don't have a president. You have an actor.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to? Who do we send these matches to?
The last vestiges of our free system of government are being swept away. Fall of the Republic. Volume 1, The Presidency of Barack Obama. Available on DVD at Infowars.com and online at PrisonPlanet.tv. The destiny of humanity is in our hands. October 21st, 2009.